Okay, in this next video, I'm going to cover housing on Ramstein, Vogelway, Rhineland-Ordnance Barracks, Larmsee. It's all the same. So if you're coming to KMC or the Kaiserslautern military community and you have orders, well, I'm going to give you some ideas on what you can expect. And the overall premise is that, what you get is based on certain categories, but even within those categories, there are a couple of major divisions, but for the most part, it's really all the same after a certain point. Now, one of your first stops when you get here is going to be to go to the KMC housing office. And once you get to the KMC housing office or Kaiserslautern military community, they're going to give you an offer to base housing, but it's going to be based on your rank and your dependent status, as well as what they actually have available. So that's like that third factor. And because we're overseas, that varies radically. So I've PCS'd here twice, right? And in both of those instances, what was available to me was limited. And if you're coming to Ramstein specifically, a lot of the spillover goes to Vogelway. So I currently live on Vogelway now, even though I work on Ramstein. So that's how this can be kind of confusing. And to make things even more confusing, Vogelway shares a compound with Capone and also with Pulaski Barracks. So a lot of the overall structure is integrated with the Army. So you may have a Army neighbor, or you may have Air Force neighbor, etc. My neighbors are all Army, even though I'm an Air Force officer, Air Force CGO. So yeah, there's a lot of nuance to it, right? But the first thing is that they're going to offer you what you are categorized for. And if you are coming here without dependents and you're single, they aren't going to have any options for you. So unless you're going into the dorms, right? So E1 through E3, they'll send you to the dorms, and I'll cover that later on in the end of the video. But if you're coming with dependents, E1 through E5, the first thing they're going to offer you is stairwell housing. And stairwell housing isn't really that bad. There are some horror stories out there, but I lived in stairwell housing when I was an E4 and a staff sergeant. And so me and my wife both, we were joint spouse, and we both lived in stairwell housing for a little over a year. And it wasn't that bad. It had everything you needed. Even if you have multiple dependents, they will still offer you a larger floor plan within the stairwell housing. So Vogelway, Larmsee, and Ramstein all have stairwell houses. Interesting thing though is that they are starting to knock a lot of these down. So I don't really know what that means. Are they going to start rebuilding new structures or new modernized stairwell housing? I'm not sure. I know the building that I used to live in has been knocked down because of certain safety features, or the overall structure was unsound, so they had to knock it down. But yeah, that's yet to be seen what's going to happen with that. Now, if you're E6 and above, this is really kind of like the gist of the point. If you're E6 and above, you're going to get a house, and the house is going to be really the same quality all the way up to the FGO level and to the other senior leaders. So my old supervisor's house as an E6, back when I was enlisted, is pretty much the same floor plan, same quality of house that I currently stay in as an O2, a lieutenant with dependents. Now, I've been in O6 houses, right? So different unit functions or whatnot, and I've gone to full-bird colonel houses, and besides being detached, the house is really the same thing. It's not like they have marble floors and oak cabinets or anything like that. The house is really, really the same. And there are plenty of videos out there where you can see, hey, this is what the inside of the building looks like. And it's really just what you would expect for anyone else on base. So if you're worried about the minor differences between them, there's really nothing to it. Now, there are some townhomes that are available on Ramstein that are a little bit different, but there aren't a lot of them, and they fill up quickly. But yeah, the overall premise is that basically FGO, CGO, senior NCO, and NCO, if you have a house on base, the quality is going to be pretty flat. Now, the last thing that I'm going to cover is the dorm situation. So the dorms are actually very different, and that's because they're very generational. Now, the older dorms have these exterior walkways, and they're a little more open and widespread, but the newer dorms are more like closed in, and they're more modern. It's kind of like a college dorm or a hotel. set up. So you don't have open walkways and the windows don't open for safety reasons. But yeah, if you're an E3 or below, you're going to be in the dorms. But they're actually, because they overcrowd so much or they fill up so quickly, especially during PCS season, it's not uncommon for even E3s that have seniority or a lot of time in grade that they'll actually move them off base. So just because you're a pipeliner or A1C getting over here, you may not even live on base very long, if at all. So it's just something to consider. So yeah, the houses on base and the dorms and the actual stairwell housing, they're all very well integrated. They have self-help stores, but they also have the schools and the CDCs. Everything's within walking distance. So if you have young children, you'll be able to see them off to school, and they can get there easily enough. And the way the place is laid out, it's pretty easy to get along and get around. Now, even if you're in the dorms and you're living in Fogelway, you're living in the Fogelway housing area, and you're in the dorms there, and you work on Ramstein, having a vehicle is going to be the most convenient thing. But there is a shuttle system that will take you around to the different work sites on Ramstein Air Base, because most of the work happens on Ramstein. That doesn't mean to say that there isn't operational units on Fogelway, because that's the case as well. So Capone, the Pulaski Barracks, and Fogelway also have operational units. So that's why it's really like a network of different bases. Same thing with Larmsey. So you might actually live with somebody on Ramstein, but they'll work on Landstuhl. So it's very interesting, but this place has to flex a lot because there's so much going on. But all in all, yeah, having lived off base for 4 years and then lived off base for another year when we first got here, in a different situation, and then also living in the stairwells and now coming back to on-base housing as a CGO, I can say that overall the quality is great, and you'll have everything you need, and your family will be really taken care of. Now, there are videos, like I said, out there that show the insides and outs. I don't really need to cover that because it's pretty straightforward. So thanks for watching. If you're interested in this material, please hit the subscribe button, drop me comments and questions, and God bless.